Investors kind of already have. If you look at the BHC chart, you can see now BHC owns something like 88%, 80 some odd percent of BLCO. You can look at the BLCO chart and say, oh, it's up, it's down, whatever. It's irrelevant, because what will happen when BHC circles the drain is it will pull down BLCO. And when I explain this to people, I don't understand why investors don't really understand this. So BHC, they have a product called Xifaxan. It goes off patent in 2028, 2029. I say it like that because someone's allowed to launch earlier than when the patent expires. So it's effectively the product goes generic earlier than the patent because they've allowed somebody to launch early. What happens when a product goes off patent? The price drops by like 90%, 95%. In this case, it will definitely be that because there are lots of filers. When that happens, you don't make any money on that product anymore. And in fact, about 6 months before that happens, the pharmacies stop ordering that product because they want to bring the inventories down. They don't want to own a whole bunch of expensive product that all of a sudden pricing goes to zero. So you'll see a slowdown in mid-2027, so like a year from now, year and a half from now. And then I think the EBITDA story will really come into play. So if you just run a simple Altman score on Bausch Health, now this is according to Gemini, I'm just going to tell you that. So their current Altman score is 0.01. The safe zone is greater than 3. The distress zone is less than 1.81. So to give you an idea, it's like saying you're in a hole. Robert's laughing because he knows the scale is really weird. But if you just say like you're at the bottom, you're really like that's now. What happens in a bankruptcy if there's a bankruptcy? Oh, I also asked Gemini, what's the likelihood of a bankruptcy? And I'll give you what it says, 75 to 85%. So lots of these things try to give you a little leeway so that they're not wrong. So we'll just say 75 to 80% is what Gemini is saying. If I told you, I have a great stock for you, 80% chance it's going to go bankrupt, but 20%, you're saying there's a chance. So what happens when when you own 80% or 90% of another asset that's kind of trading around? Bausch Lomb is doing its thing, and they sell eye care stuff, and they do an okay job, and not been consistently profitable, but let's just say that they do an okay job. Well, the bankruptcy court will say, okay, we now are going to liquidate that. Debt holders, you now own this. They'll either do a debt for equity swap, or they'll say they'll force a sale of it. Well, if you own BLCO, that's your worst nightmare. You don't want to be held up in bankruptcy court. By the way, lots of funds just won't own it. So I think that you are a year and a half away from, look, it's already playing by my playbook. BHC is showing you, and I've been talking about this for a while. I pulled up for fun this guy from NYU, this professor, the guru evaluation, they call him, Dorian or whatever. He did a whole presentation on Bausch 10 years ago. And he said, I bought it at 32, and then I doubled down, or 22, and I doubled down at 14. And now I think my bottom is really going to be 13. And then he walks through it for 20 minutes, this most ridiculous valuation. He's like, well, essentially, if I looked like Brad Pitt, I'd be famous. You're like, okay, great. If you were that, if that turned out that way, it hasn't turned out that way. He's been very silent about it since then. My point of bringing that up is the experts can tell you whatever you want. And Kevin, you mentioned that you've seen a couple notes recently. I saw Doug Meehan put out something from RBC saying, this quarter looks pretty good. The quarter doesn't matter. It doesn't, if your product's going off patent, the quarter doesn't matter. Like, oh, hey, I'm on the Titanic. The band sounds really great. Okay, good for you. Nice try. So I see zero reason to own this stock. I'm short both of them. Great. Since joining, the CEO of BLCO, stock market's up like 85%, and he's, I think, down 5%. Meanwhile, it gets paid millions. Don't ask me how. A blind monkey could do better than that. But unfortunately, blind monkeys don't negotiate with the human resource department contracts.